Well, hello builders, and welcome back to the World Zoo Project, a giant zoo where I am trying to fit a habitat for every animal in the game. And in today's video I have for you the African lions. And we are going to be building, at least my attempt at it, the Pride Rock. I feel like you gotta have a Pride Rock if you are going to be doing a lion habitat. Anyways, if you end up liking this video, make sure to do all those YouTuber things, like subscribing and liking and commenting and all that, and check me out down below for Twitch. Link is in the description. Now, without further ado, let's get started on the building. So up first, I am just going to be creating a small cave. This way guests can see inside of the Pride Rock where the lions are going to be hanging out. We'll be using some of these African pieces, some glass walls of course, because we don't want the lions eating our guests. At least that's what we want the guests to believe. Every now and then maybe some guests go missing and we save some money for our meals for the lions. But you didn't hear that from me. Now let's start on the actual cave for our lions. This is going to be modeled off of Pride Rock. Well, modeled roughly off of it. I don't have much of a detailed knowledge of what the inside of the cave looks like, but I know what the outside looks like, and it needs to have this long and flat piece sticking out of the base of it, so we're going to build that with our old friend Rock 7. Rock 7 is probably the best rock in the game, and it already looks like Pride Rock on its own. So being the master of logic that I am, I wanted a really big Pride Rock, so of course all I would have to do is take all these Rock 7s and smash them together. And that's how you get one big old Pride Rock base. Now, let's get on to building the rest of this cave. We are going to be using these rocks everywhere throughout it, because after all, it is a cave, and we need one thing in caves, and that's rocks. Now, of course, I want the lions to get up on top of that Pride Rock, so I made special attention to leave a ramp going up there, and of course bring up that pumpkin feeder, making sure that their lions will occasionally go up there to eat. While placing rock groups can be a little bit of a tedious task, it does pay off in the end with some of this lovely cave work, making the whole habitat feel a little bit more, well, natural for these animals. With the cave complete, it's time to come out and pay a little bit extra attention to Pride Rock. I felt like it was a little too thin, so I doubled it, flipped it upside down just to make the base look a little bit thicker. And then I had to put in that iconic little piece at the bottom that looks like it's holding the whole thing up. As for the exterior of the habitat, it's nothing too special. I am just going to be reusing some of these wall pieces I had done previously in other habitats, although I mistakenly put the one side glass the wrong way, so I had to go back and change that. Although for this section, as you can see, I have the train track right above it, and that little fence was not going to be able to hold it up. So I decided to just go full on into the stone theming here and just make everything out of rocks, just so that we can have some extra rocky support for the train. And speaking of the train, this thing has been a real labor of love here over on the channel. It was one of the first things I started and will probably be one of the last things I complete for the zoo, being that it stops off in every section of the zoo. And when it's done, it will be stopping off in 10 different stations throughout the zoo, letting people off, well, here in Africa for one, but also in Asia and our Indian section, our desert section, Australia, and so on. Just so many different areas for guests to see in this giant old zoo. Now, let's take a momentary break from all this dialogue and just sit back and enjoy some lovely Planet Zoo music as we get into doing a little bit of rock work for this habitat. And just like that, the rock work is complete. Okay, well maybe not just like that. It actually takes quite a while to do all those rocks and get them just how I like them. But hey, with the power of video editing, it can be done in just a few minutes. I hope you enjoy the rock work as much as I do, because putting rocks in a habitat is always like a zen moment to me, where I can just vibe out and build my own private little rock garden. But it wouldn't be a garden without a few plants here and there now, would it? So let's start about adding in all these trees, and also going about and adding in some grass, because it is supposed to be a savanna habitat, and we need all that grass everywhere to make it, well, look like a savanna. Otherwise, it would just be a boring old desert bowl, now wouldn't it? Now, while I work on these plants, let me put your concerns at rest. You're probably looking at that pride rock and thinking it looks a little unfinished. Where's the top half stone, you're probably asking? That's not a full pride rock. Well, don't worry, we will begin to that eventually near the end of the video. I just took a quick break from building it to get the rest of the habitat done. That way I could kind of get a good gauge on how big I want the whole thing to be. With this sign complete, letting guests know where they can go and learn about the lions, we can now finally get on to working on the final for Pride Rock and completing that mountain. Being I want the guest side to look a little bit more like a cave as well, I add these quick bits of rocks on the inside, as well as making a rock ceiling. After that, all we need to do is start sculpting the shape of the mountain, and then I will decorate the outside with something. What's that something? Well, I'm sure you can guess. It's rocks. It's always rocks. This build is like 90% rocks, and we're going to keep that trend up right to the end. And speaking of the end, we are nearing the end of this video. How's that for a segue? Anyways, now let me do a proper outro before we go into that end cinematic road tour for this Pride Rock habitat. Now, you don't have to, but if you got this far, you probably like the video, so why don't you click that like button? Why don't you give me a subscribe too? And while you're at it, comment down below and tell me how much you hate or you love this Pride Rock build. But either way, you could do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do, really. I'm just going to suggest it. It'd be awfully nice if you did. Speaking of being awfully nice, why don't you click that link down below and give me a little follow over on Twitch as well, where I am building things like this over there all the time. Although not so much this zoo anymore, because this zoo is actually complete. After 21 months work, I have completed and got all 210 species into the zoo. So stay tuned as I slowly trickle in the building videos for this zoo onto this channel. It will be a perfect way for me to archive everything I have built. And once I get this zoo uploaded to the workshop, I will be sure to leave a link in the description for you to download it. I imagine between this video and next week's video, the whole thing will be uploaded on the workshop, so check out next week's video in the description to download the zoo if you feel like jumping around it. Although I do not promise anything, that if your computer blows up trying to load this massive zoo, it's not my fault. You've been warned. Now, let's enjoy this cinematic road tour, and I hope you builders have a great day. Have a good one. Goodbye.